But I was back there about 5 years later. I was wounded in Korea, and the United States had a naval hospital down in Tucson, and I was there for a while, and then I left and traveled around for a while. But I was back there again about 5 years later, and Tokyo was built up. Very industrious people, very industrious. You know, it's too bad we're mad at them, and they were mad at us. A lot of people.
Did you ever keep in contact with anybody you served with or friends you made after your service?
Well, I had about 5 or 6 really good friends. Some of them that I had served with, but I'm an old man and they're all dead, so that's the end of it.
So you were in the service for a really long time. Are there any like stories you had just like on R&R, or just something that happened like while you were?
You can ask me what I did on R&R.
Is it not relatable?
Not with the ladies present.
Was there anything that stood out while you were teaching at the Naval Academy, or when you were teaching leadership and stuff like that?
No. The course at the Naval Academy, I guess, turned out fairly well, because the Navy then sent it out to the various colleges where they had naval ROTC units, and they used that course to teach. But, you know, it wasn't real difficult. What we did, we just took the Harvard Business School system of situations, and you develop a situation and say, what would you do? And then from this, you'd say, well, this was probably right. This, maybe you could have done a little bit better. And in this case, did you consider what this means in the long run? You know, that sort of stuff. So that was interesting, writing that course, because it was something that was different. I didn't mind teaching at the War College because I knew what I was doing.
Can I ask you a little more about China?
Sure.
Because you were there for quite a while. So why do you think that the communists ultimately won in China? What did you observe about the situation?
Well, I really don't know, but I think they passed themselves off as an agrarian reform movement. And of course, at that time, China was made up of peasants, and so these people thought that their lives were going to be better because the communists treated them very, very well. And Chiang Kai-shek and his predecessors had been warlords and treated the people as peasants. I was on a ceasefire team up north of the Great Wall, up at Calgan, and that's where Mo Zedong had originally had his headquarters when they made the long march. They were in South China and they came through Western China and up into Manchuria. And from there, they were going to go to down along the coast. I forget the name of this small town, but anyway, they were going to go down there. And as it took us, I was told to stay with them and see what they were doing.
Stay with the communists?
Yeah. And it was, I don't know, it was about 700 miles, I guess, and it took us about 6 weeks to walk back. Because those guys could really go. They had a little trot, you know, and they started doing that. And it was tough to keep up with them. But anyway, when they didn't have a lot of food, they had a lot of rice, but that was about all. And as they went through the countryside, if there was ducks or geese or little pigs or onions or garlic or whatever it may have been, they took it. But they always gave the peasants a receipt. Now, whether that receipt was any good, I'll never know. But they did give them a receipt for what they took, you know. So the peasants thought they were being treated pretty well. But previously, the warlords would come through there and take whatever they wanted. So it was kind of that thing. I think it was a change of regime more than anything. Then when the communists took over, they had an iron hand, and they're beginning to relax it now because China's about to have some unrest there, although they're doing a fairly good job.
Did you ever, I mean, were you just supposed to watch them from a distance? Was that your job, or did you,
No, I got right in with them.
with the communists?
Sure.
Even though we supported the nationalists?
Yes. Yes.
Did you wear your uniform?
Yes.
That wasn't a problem?
No, it wasn't, because I don't think they wanted to stir up a lot of trouble with the United States. I think there would have been some terrible retaliation if some of our ceasefire teams had been hurt.
So
And I
that
think
because
they
there was
knew
a
it.
ceasefire, they both agreed to stop fighting, so they let you come along like an embedded reporter almost?
Well, as an observer, yes. Because they weren't supposed to maneuver and they weren't supposed to move. The units were supposed to stay in place.
But they were moving.
No, they weren't. We were moving the nationalists. But the communists stayed where they were up in North China.
So you were embedded with the nationalists,
No,
not
with the communists.
with the communists, and
Yeah.
they did stay put.
Right,
Okay.
they did. Until they finally decided, okay, we were beginning to pull out, and they figured, okay, it's time for us to start down south and beat up on the nationalists now.
So they waited till you left.
They did, yeah.
Could you speak Chinese at all? No, you couldn't talk to them.
No, I could. I had an interpreter. The only thing that I learned in China is that if you call somebody a turtle, that's a terrible, terrible thing. So you go like this. You go, "They won't be done."
Has that been useful in your life?
Never talked to a Chinaman that way since. No.
Anybody got any other questions?
Where I wanted to, my wife is South Korean, so she always wants to thank U.S. military that was in Korea, so thank you so much. In the Korean conflict, did you go through a winter? Were you there? What time period were you there?
1950 and into about halfway through 51, and I was up north at the Chosen Reservoir, and it was cold up there. They said it was, I don't know, 40 degrees below sometime, and the wind had come sailing out of Siberia, and it would get cold.
And what were your thoughts when with MacArthur and Truman debate? What were your observations at that time?
Well, that was so far above what I knew and what I was thinking about. I didn't have much thought about it. But there was especially at the reservoir, there was a lot of animosity between the Marine Corps and the Army. Because the Army was over on the West Coast, and they were getting driven back at that time when the Chinese first came into the war.